They laughed when I tried, but why did they go silent when I finally became the man I dreamed of? The sound of their laughter, sharp and dismissive, used to echo in my quiet ambitions, defining every attempt I made as naive or impossible. I'm Ethan, 35, and for years, their derision was the only audience my dreams ever had. My dream was simple, yet seemingly absurd to the people around me. I wanted to build beautiful, sustainable homes that integrated seamlessly with nature, using cutting-edge, eco-friendly materials and smart technology. I wasn't just building houses, I was building a philosophy. To my family and closest friends, it was a joke. My father, Richard, 60, a traditional real estate developer, saw my ideas as financially reckless. Green building, that's a niche, Ethan. You'll starve, he'd declare, his voice heavy with paternal concern that felt more like dismissal. My mother, Sarah, 58, tried to mediate but mostly reinforced his skepticism, urging me to be practical. My older brother, Mark, 38, was the worst. He worked for my father's firm, content in the predictable world of suburban sprawl. He saw my passion as a personal affront to his own conventional success. Still playing with dirt, little brother. He'd sneer, often in front of relatives, making sure my eccentricities were public knowledge. His laughter, sharp and confident, was the sound of my perceived failure. My best friends from college, Tom, 35, and Chloe, 36, initially supported me, but their patience wore thin when my first few projects struggled. Ethan, maybe you should get a real job, Tom suggested, while Chloe, ever the pragmatist, advised me to just join your dad's company and innovate from within. Their encouragement morphed into gentle dissuasion, laced with the unspoken judgment that I wasn't smart enough or driven enough to pull it off. I spent my late 20s fighting against a tide of doubt, both external and internal. Every failed pitch, every rejected loan application, every empty property felt like a confirmation of their collective judgment. The overwhelming life lesson I absorbed was this: ambition, when it deviates from the norm, is often met not with encouragement, but with the fear and ridicule of those who dare not dream beyond their own comfort zones. I tried to follow their advice. I took a job in conventional construction for a year, hating every minute of it, suffocated by the waste and the soulless designs. I realized quickly that compromising my vision would be a far greater failure than any financial setback. I quit. I moved into a small, rented room in a dilapidated house, pouring every spare cent into learning, researching, and experimenting. My office was a corner of my bedroom. I worked 2 other part-time jobs, delivery driver, barista, to pay the bills and fund my materials. I learned CAD design, sustainable architecture principles, and advanced material science. I scavenged, recycled, and repurposed. I built my first prototype in an abandoned warehouse I convinced the owner to let me use for free. It was a tiny, self-sufficient structure, packed with solar panels, rainwater harvesting, and reclaimed wood. It was beautiful, functional, and utterly ignored by everyone I knew. My family and friends had mostly given up on me. My calls went unreturned. Social gatherings became awkward, with me often being the subject of hushed, pitying conversations. Mark called me a loser to his new friends, boasting about how he tried to warn me. The isolation was immense, but it also became a forge. The lack of external validation forced me to rely entirely on my own conviction. I wasn't doing it for them anymore. I was doing it for the quiet, resolute man inside me who refused to give up. What would you do if the only audience for your dreams became your own unwavering resolve? Would you crack under the pressure of isolation, or would you find strength in silence? My break came not from a grand announcement, but from a tiny, unexpected seed. A local environmental blogger stumbled upon my prototype, wrote a glowing piece about its innovation and beauty. That article caught the attention of a small, forward-thinking tech investor, Eleanor Vance, 55, who saw the true potential. She didn't laugh. She saw the vision, the meticulous research, the deep passion. She invested. With her backing, I founded Veridian Habitats. We started small, building eco-pods and tiny homes for nature retreats and remote workers. Our designs were innovative, our materials were sustainable, and our technology was cutting edge. The market response was overwhelming. People craved homes that connected them to nature without compromising comfort or efficiency. My company grew rapidly. We expanded into modular housing, then small community developments. We became known for our minimalist aesthetic, our commitment to green principles, and our unwavering quality. We weren't just building houses, we were building a lifestyle. By the time I was 35, Veridian Habitats was a recognized name in sustainable architecture, with projects across the country. I was no longer struggling. I was a CEO, an innovator, and a leader in a burgeoning industry. I was, finally, the man I dreamed of. My success was gradual, but undeniably public. Industry awards, magazine features, and even a documentary about our unique approach. The news filtered back to my family and friends, not through me, but through the wider world. The silence was deafening. The laughter stopped entirely. The first subtle shift was from Tom and Chloe. Their occasional, pitying calls ceased. When we ran into each other at a mutual friend's wedding, their effusive greetings felt strained. They didn't ask about my cute hobby, they asked about expansion plans and market trends. Their eyes held a mixture of awe and something else, a quiet, uncomfortable reckoning. They offered hesitant congratulations, but the easy camaraderie we once shared was gone, replaced by an awkward deference. My family's reaction was even more profound. My father, Richard, who once dismissed me, now introduced me to his colleagues with a forced pride. My son, Ethan, he's doing truly remarkable things with green architecture. The words were praise, but his eyes carried a heavy weight of unspoken regret. He'd occasionally tried to offer advice on my business, but it lacked his old authority. He was trying to catch up, to claim a piece of the success he once scorned. My mother, Sarah, was perhaps the most emotionally conflicted. Her relief that I was set was palpable, but beneath it, I sensed a deep sadness for the years of doubt she'd expressed. Her calls were filled with inquiries about my well-being, but also a careful tiptoeing around my achievements. She couldn't bring herself to fully celebrate because it meant confronting her own lack of faith. And then there was Mark. The loudest laugher, the fiercest critic. He became utterly, completely silent. He didn't call, he didn't text, he didn't even acknowledge my existence on social media. When we were in the same room, his gaze would dart away, unable to meet mine. The man who had once mocked my every move now found himself utterly without words. His silence wasn't respect, it was defeat. It was the sound of a person whose narrative had been utterly shattered by an undeniable truth. The core lesson was stark. True vindication isn't found in their apology or their praise, it's found in the quiet, undeniable proof of your own journey, which leaves those who doubted you with nothing left to say. Their silence, in its own way, was louder than any applause. It spoke of their regret, their envy, and their profound inability to reconcile the successful man standing before them with the loser they had so confidently dismissed. I realized that their laughter had never been about me. It had been about them, their fear of the unknown, their comfort in the conventional, their inability to see beyond their own limited perspectives. My success wasn't just my triumph, it was a mirror reflecting their own insecurities. The shift in our relationship was permanent. I couldn't go back to being the mocked, uncertain aspiring architect. And they couldn't go back to being the unquestioning authorities. There was a chasm of unspoken words between us, a valley forged by years of their doubt and my unwavering resolve. I felt a strange mix of emotions, a quiet satisfaction, a profound sense of peace, and a lingering sadness. Satisfaction in my achievement, peace in my self-worth, and sadness for the lost years, for the emotional distance that had been created by their judgment. I learned that success, while externally validating, doesn't always heal the internal wounds inflicted by those you love. It merely clarifies the landscape. The love and respect I craved from them wasn't something I could earn, it was something they were incapable of giving on my terms. The true gift of my journey wasn't the material wealth or the professional recognition, it was the unshakable belief in myself, forged in the fires of their doubt. That was the real man I had dreamed of becoming. That was the man they couldn't laugh at, and couldn't even speak to. If the people who relentlessly doubted you were finally silenced by your undeniable success, would you seek their apology, or would you find more power in the quiet knowledge that you proved them wrong without a single word? My story is a testament to the power of unwavering self-belief against a world of doubt. I want to know what you think. Let me know your opinion in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.